Hi, I'm Diana Montfort, and this is the Diana Montfort Show. My guest is transgender rights attorney Mr. Noah Lewis, who is also a trans man, and he is going to tell us about his amazing journey, born in a female body and transitioned to male. I would say that he was born female, but he disputes that and feels that he was always male, and good for him. Anyway, and let's hit that orange button. Yes, that's where the credits go. Okay, now you were born, your body, well, let's not confuse people. You were born female.
Correct. I was assigned female at birth.
Yes. Who does these assignments? Like there will be a quiz, your assignment, I don't know. But you are now male.
Yes.
Yes. But in between, okay, now, how old are you now?
33.
Okay. And you transitioned at what age?
28.
And before that?
I lived as a woman.
Were you a card-carrying heterosexual woman?
I appeared to be. I did start identifying as bisexual when I was 18.
Why?
I was attracted to women. I had been attracted to women for a number of years, but I had only ever dated men, and I really only dated men until I was, I think, 25 or 26.
And you had sexual intercourse with persons of the male gender.
Yes.
And you now are what? Gay, straight, bi, what?
Pretty open. I
No one is safe. No. In other words, you like everyone.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, so there's hope out there, folks. Gorgeous guy. Why not? Okay, and a lawyer. Hello. So now tell us, when you were growing up, did you feel male?
Yes.
Did you play with male? Well, there are no male toys, but were you socialized to be male or female?
I had plenty of female toys and male toys as well, and
now you have a male toy for your very own.
I wish. So
yes.
Uh,
Listen, I have one. It's no big deal. Well, mine is no big deal, but after all these years of hormones, what do you want? But yes, you were saying.
well, I was certainly attracted to stereotypically boys' toys, but I would stop myself from playing with them sometimes so that I wouldn't reveal to anyone that I was a boy.
Or even to yourself sometimes.
Yes, that's true.
And now, do you have any siblings?
I have an older brother.
Were you influenced by your older brother? Did you envy his masculinity, that he was allowed to do things that you as a young girl were not?
No, I don't think there was really anything he was allowed to do that I wasn't.
Well, the larger society, grants greater freedom to men than to women.
True. I mean, I think, more annoyed that people recognized that he was male, and I was stuck in a pink room.
As Virginia Woolf said, you had a room of your own. Okay, and your parents, how do they feel about your having transitioned?
They're very supportive. It took them a while to get to that place, but they support me 100%.
Which parent was more supportive?
I think my father had an easier time with the transition. My mom always did want a little girl, and I tried to play that role for many years, but it wasn't meant to be.
Do you think that's because you were rejecting femininity and that was her sphere of influence?
I guess she probably saw it that way.
And your father, of course, has yet another fan, someone else to copy him. Not only your brother, but now you.
Yeah, I'm very different though from both my brother and my father. They have they can fix things, and they have that kind of masculinity, whereas mine is more of a, professor type.
Well, is that because they were taught to fix things and you were not?
Yeah, I was always given the opportunity to learn those kinds of things. I never really liked to though.
Well, what does your brother do?
He works for a railroad. He's an engineer.
And what does your father do?
He was in the information technology, computers.
And you are not a mechanical person.
No.
And you are an attorney.
Yes.
And in the broadest sense, a civil liberties attorney.
Yes.
And you told me before we went on that someday you might decide to teach.
Yes.
And you, do you have a girlfriend?
I do.
And why don't you tell us about her? That's an interesting story.
Yeah, when we met, she was a man, and I...
And you were still a man now?
Yes.
Yes.
And, but it became clear pretty soon to me that she wasn't a man, and that she was in denial about that. And
in other words, she was a person living in a male body.
Yes, yes.
Did she know she was trans?
On some level, certainly, yes. She tried to tell me at one point that she wasn't a man, and I did not understand what she was saying. I thought she was just trying to say that she was a different kind of man with a different kind of masculinity. So I feel, I did not comprehend at that point.
Was she attracted to you because you're trans and she was on the road to becoming trans?
Well, she did not know that I was trans at first, when she first met me.
All right, now how do you break it to someone, some young woman who, oh, Noah, you're so big and strong. Keep me safe, keep me warm. I want to have your baby. How do you tell her, sorry, baby, no baby, come. How do you do this?
That I don't know. That's something I have to explore, because I told my girlfriend currently before we started dating. So it's not a situation that
you were trans?
Yes.
But she was a man at the time. This is very pirandello, you know what I mean? Okay, she was a man, and you were a man. But you were born female, and she is now a woman.
Yes.
Who's on first? No. Okay. Does this present problems, being a transgender couple?
No. I feel we understand each other very well. I think if I were with a non-transgender person, there would be a lot more to explain. I wouldn't be able to have that camaraderie.
Is she bisexual or monosexual? Or?
She's actually a lesbian, and I'm the only man that she would ever be interested in. So that complicates it even further.
Dare we ask technical questions about physical stuff? What I'm asking is this. Now, most trans men do not have bottom surgery. Male hormone tends to make the clitoris, in a sense, a penis. Is that more or less accurate?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
So, what exactly is a lesbian? My question is, your clitoris has become a penis in effect. So, how much of a lesbian is she?
Well, for whatever reason, lesbians commonly date trans men. So,
well, I think heterosexual women, genetic heterosexual women, are quite fascinated by trans men.
Yeah, perhaps bordering on the line of what is known as chasers in the community.
Yes. Well, God knows straight guys love male to female trannies. You know? It's actually straight guys who like male to female trannies, as opposed to gay men who often skeeve their sisters, who find them not sexually appealing, and at times not even emotionally appealing.
Well, if they're men, and they're gay men, they're not going to be attracted to women.
Of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, you transitioned. How did you transition? Where does one go to transition? Once you've decided, I'm not really a woman, I want to be a man, but I am a man, but I want my body to match my maleness. How do you find a doctor?
Well, yeah, it can be hit or miss, and the way things are set up with the standards of care that most people follow, you have to seek counseling first before you can access hormones or surgery. So that was my first step.
You went to a therapist?
Yes.
A psychotherapist?
Yeah, a PhD.
And were evaluated as being quote unquote normal, i.e., not likely to run amok and pee on the universe or something.
Yeah, I mean, all they really have to certify is that you're sane. And
But who's sane? I mean, come on, you know. Okay, and then you are given the name of a hormone doctor.
Yeah, for me, that wasn't the first step that I wanted to take. I lived as a man for a full year without any medical intervention, just a haircut, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that I wanted to do was top surgery because that was the most important thing to me.
Top surgery being a double mastectomy.
Correct.
And you did that?
Yes.
Pre-hormones?
Yes.
And then you started taking testosterone.
Yeah, shortly, a few months after that.
And where did you get this testosterone?
I went to a clinic in Pittsburgh called Metro Family Practice, which they serve a lot of transgender people.
With parsley? What do you mean they serve? No. Yes.
It's a safe place to go.
I see. And how did you know about this place?
Word of mouth, I suppose.
And you went there and they gave you hormones. Did they evaluate you psychologically also?
The therapist that I had, she wrote them a letter.
And then what made you come to New York?
My job.
Did you get your job in Pittsburgh?
I had other jobs before this one, so I was working even before I transitioned as a man.
Okay. And then you came here. Now, were you already an attorney when you came here?
Yeah, I transitioned while I was in law school.
And why don't you tell us what happened? Now, you went to Harvard.
Mm-hmm.
And tell us what happened when you were in law school and transitioned.
Yeah, I started meeting transgender people basically as soon as I got there, and just through outside of law school, really, just in different contexts. And it was the first time I met a trans man who had transitioned, who had physically transitioned, and so I realized that was possible. And when I started dating a woman, and she was very butch, and she said that I was femme, and that was a big surprise to me because that's not how I saw myself. And so that started to get me thinking. And during law school's 3 years, and basically the summer after my second year, I started going by Noah and went back to law school as Noah, basically.
And did they have a problem with that?
No, it was pretty smooth. The worst thing that happened, I think, was I got a funny look when I was using the men's room by someone who had known me before.
Do you want to tell us your girl name?
No.
Okay. Anyway, did you, now I'm trans myself, and all right, well, let me quickly tell you about my experience. I transitioned a few centuries ago, and I went to Dr. Harry Benjamin, the doctor who invented the process, and they were very fussy in those days. And if a trans woman walked in wearing trousers, they'd say, your femininity is slipping, skirts, my dear. And you had to say silly things like, all I really want to do is get married and cook dinner for my man. You know, I mean, but anyway, and you said it because and you were paying these people plenty, but you had to sort of play the game. I take it things have changed in 35 years or not.
Yeah, I think it does depend on where you are in the country because
This was Manhattan.
yeah,
Move closer to me. I want to see your gorgeous butch shoulders. Get over here. Okay.
there certainly are places, unfortunately, even in Pittsburgh, where you sort of have to go before a board and prove that you are the gender that you say that you are. I went to
Your gender of choice?
yeah,
How do you prove it?
exactly. It's kind of gross.
Yeah, Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm a man. Oh, like that?
Yeah. I went to a therapist at Harvard, and she had some specialty in this, and I didn't have to do any of that kind of proving. If anything, I was trying more to prove it to myself to make sure that this was really the path that I wanted, because I thought even though I knew I was a man, maybe I could tough it out and live as a woman, but that was silly, and I should have, transitioned a long time ago.
Well, you look considerably younger than your 33 years.
Yes.
So I wouldn't worry if I were you. In fact, when you told me that you were 33, I gasped in shock and admiration and begged for your moisturizer secret. Yes. Well, good for, and I had no clue at all, that you were born in a female body. None whatsoever. You know?
Yeah, I'm very lucky that way. I recognize that, and that's why I'm here talking about being trans, because oftentimes it's left to trans women who sometimes don't have a choice. They're visibly transgender and they have to be out, or
They're either transgender or they're Joan Crawford. You crouch check just to make sure. Yeah.
So I think it's hope to encourage other trans men to be more forthright. It's not that you're hiding who you are, but really stepping up and helping out other people in the community who don't have it as easy, because I can walk down the street and no one knows that I'm trans. I'm not harassed. I'm not stared at anymore.
Well, maybe women look at you like, wow, who's he?
And that was something to get used to. I still don't quite know how to respond to that.
I think you'll figure it out. Yes. So now, if you're a trans person out there and you want to transition, and, what can people do if they're trans and want to transition?
Here in New York City, you can contact Cal and Lord, the Community Health Center.
Clinic, absolutely.
And there's other ones. There's
Cal and Lord is on 18th Street between 8th and 9th Avenues, I believe.
Yeah.
And Dr. Gall Mayer is the head of it, and you may have seen him on this show talking about the wonderful services they provide for the entire LGBT community, and indeed anyone who wants to go, but especially for trans people. Cal and Lord, you can find them online or whatever in the telephone book or whatever, and there are other fine physicians out there who will help you to transition. Do you like being a man?
Yeah.
Do you like it better than being a woman?
Yes, I'm much more pleasant to be around now.
What were you like as a woman?
I was very, very depressed and miserable and angry all the time. Lashed out a lot.
Did you know why? Or were you just,
was
it unconscious?
I had pretty well sealed that part off and was in denial. I knew that there was something wrong with my body, but I couldn't figure out what. If I never sought out mental health therapy because I felt that the problem was in my body and not my mind, and I knew there was nothing they could do about my mind, so why would I go to a therapist?
Did you dislike your female body?
Yeah. And I didn't, like I said, it wasn't on a conscious level, but at the same time I was doing things to minimize the appearance of hips and breasts and...
Well, a lot of women do that. That doesn't,
Well, I don't know that they minimize their breasts.
Yes, don't talk about hips. Just don't. Okay, ice cream. What can I tell you? So, you were flattening your chest with a bandage or something?
Wearing sports bras and stuff like that.
How do you minimize your hips? Tell me.
I would wear extra large T-shirts that covered.
That old trick. We've all done that, but not necessarily because we're trans. Try a big shirt. That helps too. Okay, jackets are great. Like with a little padding up here. But okay, so now
you have to love your hips.
Yes, you have to love your hips. And when you're through loving your hips, you have to hit yourself over the head with a board and other masochistic things. No, yes, you have to love your hips. Your hips are part of it.
They're beautiful.
Everyone's hips are beautiful. Hip, hip, hooray. Yes, but our society teaches us that the hipless and bosomy are the favored few, and everyone else is a fat slob.
That's a problem.
Especially if you are not among the favored few, and who is, like 3 supermodels are, and only when they're young. But anyway, so tell us, you disliked your body, now you like your body.
For the most part.
Do you like the role of man?
Um, it's interesting. It wasn't why I transitioned at all. I felt that I could have any kind of gender role, gender expression in a female body, but now the difference in the way people treat me is astounding.
How
Really,
so?
it's kind of like having the red carpet rolled out for you as a white man. For example, going in the airport. One time I had some water in my water bottle by accident, and rather than yelling at me or anything, they're just like, they took it and they're like, oh, we'll go dump this out for you. Whereas if, for example, my friend who's Muslim, obviously that he would have not been treated in the same way. So that's kind of a racial thing, but
But what would they have done to a woman with a water bottle?
they might have said, go dump this out, and made me do it myself. But and so walking down the
What in
street.
God's name is that odd noise? Yes. Must be the airport.
Yeah,
Yes. Our flight is leaving.
the feeling of safety that I have now is markedly different. I don't feel threatened at all. I feel like I can walk down the street at any time of the day or night. And yeah.
Do you hang out with other trans folk?
I do. I just tend to. I guess I go to a lot of political events and.
What kind of politics?
Well, I guess LGBT.
Mm-hmm.
Also, immigrant rights, and other social justice issues.
But you were born in the U.S.
Yeah. But I guess if, in a way, maybe I have a slight insight into the immigrant experience because, changing genders, if somebody finds out that you're trans, you're always sort of regarded as the gender where you came from and you're never fully accepted.
Oh, sure.
So there's a slight, similarity. Of course, like I just talked about earlier, and my rights are not denied in the same way.
As they were when you were a woman.
Or if I were an immigrant. It's not
Or an immigrant woman.
Yeah.
I'm sure even immigrant men have an easier time, don't they? So how does it feel to have the keys to the kingdom now?
Well, I try to use them responsibly, and another difference, if I see sexist behavior, for example, in a group and women are trying to talk and they're being spoken over or whatever, and I can now, say to the men, to be quiet, and they'll listen to me, and women have thanked me when I take that role.
I've noticed that because I take no guff from any man, and I'm considered this loud, brassy broad, because, only women who take shit are considered nice ladies. Anyone who says, shut up, I'm talking now, is this outrageously abrasive bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I guess I'm an outrageously abrasive bitch, and I fucking like it that way. So anyway, anything else you'd like to tell us about your transgender journey?
Huh.
I feel we've not even scratched the surface.
Yeah, in some ways, it's unremarkable. It's just, who I am. I am grateful that I've had this opportunity. A lot of people are transitioning at younger and younger ages.
Well, I transitioned at 15 with my parents' blessing.
But for me, I really value the experience of living as an adult woman and being able to experience what it's like to be treated as a woman.
Why would you like that?
Well, I, for example, there are a lot of white men who cannot understand what other people go through, people who experience oppression. So I'm able to have insight into that.
Because you were a woman.
Because I was a woman, and then also, of course, because I'm trans, which I feel like I didn't necessarily understand. Being a white woman you do experience oppression, but it's because there's so many of you and you're actually the majority. It's a different kind of oppression than...
What kind of oppression is it?
Well, it's its own thing,
It's a kind of condescension, like now, madam, miss, ma'am, right this way, and they sort of cut you off from half your humanity. That way, they sort of explain how they expect you to behave without explaining it.
Hmm. But I guess, yeah, but there's like a lot. I'm not trying to minimize it in any way, but there's like more opportunities to there's no there's no trouble like getting together with other women, or yeah. But when you're for trans, for example, which is maybe like 1 in 2,000 or so people, it's it's a little more blatant.
The discrimination?
Yeah.
When you're a trans woman or a trans man?
Well, both. I mean, transgender people.
Are discriminated against.
Hmm.
Not unlike immigrants.
Yes.
Okay, can you very quickly say something to trans folk out there who might need to, who might want to know? Do you have any insight to give to trans people?
Well, it it always starts with yourself. We do experience a lot of discrimination, but we also internalize that and have a lot of shame and internalized transphobia, and that's why people they might know at a younger age and that they wait longer to transition. So I would just encourage people to respect yourself and take that step if that's what you want to do. And you read about transgender history, watch movies like Beautiful Boxer, that's like one of my favorite movies, that are inspiring, that show positive images of trans people that we don't see in the media, and so that you can learn that we've been fighting for a long time to be respected, and there's a long history, and the act of coming out and being yourself is powerful and is part of that process.
Mm-hmm. The truth shall set you free. My guest has been Transman Noah Lewis, who is also an attorney, a transgender rights attorney here in New York. He is. Are you out as a trans man? You are now, but are you as to people who know you?
Yes.
Good. I'm out as a trans woman, and well, if you want to transition, you should transition. And if you know any trans folk, be kind to them, because they've been through more than you can imagine, and they can't even explain it in words because you have to be there to know what it's like. And anyway, my guest has been Mr. Noah Lewis, transgender man and trans rights attorney. I'm Diana Montfort. This has been the Diana Montfort Show. You know how much I love you, and you know how much I want you to take good care of yourself, and you know that you have to love yourself. And I love you a lot, and now I'm going to hit that. Let's hit the credits button, that orange button over there. There are the credits. Hallelujah. Credits. It's like a miracle. You hit a button, there are the credits. Anyway, I love you a lot, and I will see you next time. Love you. Bye.